No matter if points are gained or points are lost, there will be much to discuss. For analysis regarding tonight's Winnipeg Jets game, here are Dave Manouk, Ezra Ginsburg, and your host, Drew Mandel. The Illegal Curve post-game show starts now.
Good evening, Winnipeg. Good evening, Manitoba. And for all those joining us live anywhere you are on the internet, good evening to you and welcome to the Illegal Curve post-game show. As you can tell, these are the dulcet tones of Dave Manouk, analyst. I noticed Drew, by the way, when he introduces himself, he calls himself a host. He introduces you and I, and he doesn't really say analyst. Just kind of introduces us.
Who are we? Who are we?
Who are we? We have these existential crises because we don't get an official title like Drew. So
we're the backbone of IC. That's who we are, Dave. The backbone.
Well, I'm Dave Manouk, and as you can tell by that voice, that's Ezzy Ginsburg. We are here to discuss the Jets' 4-2 demolishing. Just kidding, wasn't a demolishing. 4-2 victory over Patrick Laine and the Montreal Canadiens. A much-needed win. I know Jets fans aren't happy because they felt like the team just held on for victory tonight, Ezzy, but the Jets end the homestand with a win, and that's 2 wins, 1 overtime loss, and 1 regulation loss in the win column, I should say. So the Jets are 22-9-1 right now, I believe, is their record, and they'll head to California tomorrow. It's the mom's trip. The Jets tweeted out that the moms were already in attendance, so I guess tonight's game counts. So further to what Kyle Connor said,
Dave, 1-0. The moms.
I was going to say, Kyle Connor said when we talked to him a couple days ago, the moms were 0-3 last year. This technically makes them 1-1 with 2 more games in California to go on the road trip. But we'll get into those games a little later. What are your takeaways from the Jets' 4-2 win to close out this homestand, Ezzy?
Takeaway number 1: Patrick Laine still loves to shoot the puck. I think he was credited for 7 shots. I'm not
That's
sure.
a good takeaway.
What his shot attempts were, but they were probably like 10 or 11 or something like that. Obviously, Hellebuyck makes a big skate save on Laine late in the third period, and then jumps on the rebound. So obviously, first and foremost, great to see the ovation that Laine got. Just great to see him back on the ice in Winnipeg, right? He's even admitted, right, like Winnipeg feels like a second home for him. So great for Laine to come back to Winnipeg. And as you mentioned on social media, Dave, the first time Laine has ever shot on Hellebuyck for a different team, which I think was kind of funny that he made sure that he got lots of rubber on number 37. Hellebuyck was really solid, made some key saves, especially in that last Habs power play, right? You remember Cole Caulfield had a good chance. Juraj Slafkovsky had a really good chance. And, one thing to take away from this game, I haven't watched the Habs a lot this year. Obviously, we're focused on the Jets and who they're playing, right, Dave? But this Habs team, they're faster than I thought. And we obviously knew the high-end skill, right? We talk about Slafkovsky, Cole Caulfield, obviously Captain Nick Suzuki. That Lane Hudson, I mentioned him on this morning show. Obviously, I wasn't predicting that he was going to get his first goal of the year, right, Dave?
First career NHL goal, Ezzy.
Yes, but that Lane Hudson, he is a good player, a second-round pick, looking like a steal for the Habs in the second round. So I was really impressed by Hudson. And I think we got Scotty Arniel coming up, don't we?
We do indeed. So let's go to head coach Scott Arniel. No, that's not him. That's somebody else. I don't know who that was, but that wasn't Scott Arniel.
Sorry. For those who don't know, backstage, we got Colby Spence.
Colby usually gives us a little heads up, Ezzy.
Yeah, but I saw someone walk up to the podium there backstage, so I thought we had Scott Arniel. But regardless, Dave, I would say that, for the most part, the Jets played a pretty good road game at home, but just in terms of playing a patient game, a well-structured game. I thought that, in the third period, they got into a little bit of trouble, having trouble clearing their own zone. Obviously, weren't able to capitalize on the power play, which would have given them a healthy 3-goal lead. But I thought for the most part, the Jets were better tonight. Scheifele, Connor Velarde, I thought, there was a part of the game where they kind of were a little bit more quiet, but then they had a really good shift which led to the penalty, the slash. Was that on Scheifele? I forget if that was on Connor or Scheifele. But obviously the top line was really good tonight. And at the end of the day, 2 power play goals. We talked about it. This is a game in which the Jets weren't great at even strength. In fact, they were outscored 2-1 at even strength. They got the 2 power play goals, and obviously Nemesnikov gets the empty netter. But I thought they just played well enough to win. And like you said, it wasn't a dominant victory, but they get back in the win column. So that's all that matters in front of a whole sold out crowd. So you love that. And obviously they can, build on this as they head to California for the 2 games.
Well, every day is Ken Weeb's birthday, but one gentleman was celebrating his 100th birthday, born in 1924, celebrating his what? Oh, Drew Mandel. Yes, also Drew Mandel, who also celebrated his 100th birthday today. But we saw him up on the. I don't know if they showed it on the TV, Ezzy, but
they did
during the second period. This gentleman who looked rather spry, although my grandfather's 97, he's also pretty spry. But good on this gentleman, 100 years old, celebrating at a Jets game. Pretty awesome, and the fans inside the building gave him a huge ovation. So nice. But as I just want to touch on the point you made, because one of the things we talked about was the importance of special teams, and we said that Montreal special teams, while not great, I think they're 16 and 11th. So they've been decent for a team that's dead last in their division, and yet the Jets went perfect. I think 4 for 4 on the PK, and as you said, 2 for 6 on the power play. But that was it. It was an important element of this game, was that the Jets needed to kind of get their special teams feeling good again. And Montreal was, like I said, going to be a good test, not easy pickings like some of the teams we've seen that they've gone up against. So that's probably another element of the game that you want to kind of focus on. And you can't not focus on it without looking at Connor Hellebuck and the contribution he makes on the PK, especially.
Yeah. And, again, I don't watch Montreal a ton, so I don't know if they typically take a lot of penalties. They were definitely taking a lot of penalties tonight, and penalties that really were ill-advised offensive zone, right? The Caulfield hooking penalty on Scheifele, obviously Dvorak high stick Scheifele as well. Scheifele drew both penalties on that 5-on-3, and obviously again, it's something I mention often on the post-game show, sometimes on the Saturday morning show. Like, teams like the Jets, they expect to score on a 5-on-3, right? And they obviously convert. And that would have been a huge momentum zapper if they weren't able to score on that 5-on-3. But obviously, they come through big. And, Connor with obviously a beautiful pass to Velarde on the first power play goal, and then a big snipe for the second power play goal in the second period. So we'll get into that in the Play Now game recap. But again, I thought the Jets played well enough to win, and, give the Habs credit. Who was it? Was it Josh Anderson that tipped that shot that hit the post in the third period? Like, they could have tied this game up. Like, they were right in there. So give the Habs credit for being in this game. And I think you'd like to see maybe a little bit more, aggressiveness from the Jets in the third period. They were kind of sitting on that 2-goal lead, I thought, a little bit too much. But again, I don't want to be a buzzkill here. They got the win at the end of the day, and that man is a very handsome man.
I just don't know how Spency is like in the chat right now, given he's on my phone, because Colby Spence picked him out of the crowd. That's right, Spency. We got you the eye on the sky. Like,
what I just see? I just see sexiness personified. That's what I see.
Well, all I know is that you can never, ever, ever, ever say never, ever, but expect that if you're in the building that the Illegal Curve crew is not going to catch you. And Colby Spence got that photo, sent it to me, of Spency enjoying himself at tonight's.
We're like
Jets
TMZ,
game.
Dave. You're never safe if you're out in public. We got paparazzi everywhere, and by paparazzi everywhere, I mean Colby Spence at Jets games.
Yeah. Well, he's wearing the Illegal Curve gear, so people recognize him. But look, and it was a good crowd. I mean, Spency was in the crowd, so you knew it was going to be a good crowd. But 5th sellout of the season. I think Mike McIntyre of the Free Press said that they didn't have their first sellout till I don't remember when last year. So 5th sellout of the season. Now, a lot of Habs fans, I know Jets fans don't like to see that, but it makes it a way better atmosphere.
They might not like to see it, but it happens every single year that the Habs come in. And that's why I always joke with you, Dave, that, it's just funny to me that Jets fans get annoyed about that. But it's going to happen every single year. There's always going to be like thousands of Habs fans among the 15,000, right? Just always something that it's like, why do you continue to get annoyed about something that that you expect, right?
Yeah. No, exactly. And look, like I was saying, it makes for a good atmosphere. And you could sense it, and the fans were into it. It was a slow start. I just saw that comment. Charlie Horse is making that comment. A win is a win, but slow starts against lesser teams will hurt us, he says, or she says. But to me, the
hopefully Charlie Horse doesn't have a Charlie Horse.
That's true. Funny story. My uncle once created a plush animal called Charlie Horse that my other uncle drew, and it was a horse that had a crutch. I might bring it out. I think I've got it somewhere in the house.
Was
called,
Charlie Horse related to Manny Buffalo?
No, this was the precursor to Manny the Buffalo. These were the Punimals. And as you can tell by the name, they were punny. Okay, well, there's Kenny Weeb. We see him in the background. So there's Scott Arneal. We're going to go to the Jets head coach right now.
Scott, safe to say the Canadiens gave you your money's worth tonight in terms of making you work for that victory?
Yeah, I think we also put them on their heels quite a bit too. I mean, it was a pretty entertaining game.
Yeah.
A lot of specialty teams kind of turned it a little bit, but real proud of both of our units there. Our power play and our penalty kill really stepped up tonight, and I really liked our effort. I thought it was a really, really good bounce back from what we had done the other night against Vegas. It was a real solid one.
All three of your goals, excluding the empty net, are just some great puck movement and kind of passing leading up to it, right?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, there was every one of them were. There were plays where guys found the open guys, and there was. I think the chances ended up being 13-13. There was both teams had some other looks, and I thought both goaltenders were real good, and had to, were there for to make the stops to keep that close.
And just on that, you've seen Hellebuyck make a number of spectacular saves, but where does that one, the one-timer where he doesn't have his stick, gets the blocker, and then kind of catches the pop fly, that must be high on the list of what you've seen? Yeah,
there's some exciting stuff happen when he went out there with him. He does, he's always on pucks. He's always has a ability to kind of recognize what's kind of coming, what the next sort of situation is going to happen, and he always seems to know where it is. I'm looking all over trying to find it half the time, and he knows where it's in that right gloves.
Your Hellebuyck faced about 4 power play shots from line A, and obviously, penalty kill, pre-scouts and whatnot, you're knowing the one-timers there, but on each of those shots, he was pretty square and positioned on them. Do you think that's a matter of familiarity with the player, or just Hellebuyck's study of events? Like, curious thought.
I think he knows the opponent pretty well.
Yeah.
Probably saw him an awful lot in practice. But for us, no matter if it's it's line A, it's OV. There's certain players that they're going to get their looks. We're kind of setting it up so that Helly is waiting for it. We don't want multiple options happening, whether it's into the slot or it's the other flanker getting a shot. If Helly knows where where the shot's going to end up, he's set. He doesn't have to come on the other side of the ice and slide across to make a save. And so we don't want it to go, in that case to Liney. But at the end of the day, we took away the other options, and that's where it ended up. And if he can see it and he can front and get himself big, he usually stops it.
The Adam Lowry goal, obviously a nice play by Nino before. Is that just kind of a poster example of what you guys want more of at 5-on-5 and what's made you successful this year?
Yeah, and I think there was some other good examples of that we didn't do against Vegas. We did throw them. We threw some pucks in there and kind of created the explosion like we've talked about, created the sort of got Montreal on the run a little bit. But that was a nice play, and where Lau scored it from. Those are the hard areas. I didn't think we did enough of that. The other night against Vegas, the first Vladdy's line had a couple of great looks. They were hacking and whacking in around there. Even Scheif and those guys were, with KC, they threw some in there, and we went into those areas. That's what you have to do as the games get harder and teams get tougher. They're not going to give you easy slot line, sort of easy back play. You got to go in those areas and get those goals.
The Nemesnikov line almost setting an example, and those are three of the smallest forwards that you have. Can you use that, coach? Does that fire you up, or does that fire players up?
And that's been the kind of just those guys, their MO. Even when it flies with those guys, when he plays on, they're not all big guys and they're not all physical guys, but they use their quickness to steal pucks, and then they get in there and they score in different ways. That line tonight, I thought in the first period was one of our best lines, and they were going against the dock line, and I think they were looking up at every one of those guys. A couple times they're out against Anderson and Gallagher, and those are some big bodies, heavy guys, and I thought they did a fantastic job of getting the zone time and getting those looks.
In the first, actually, right from the get, I think you probably protected the middle of the ice in your zone maybe better than against Vegas. So what went into that?
We talked about it. We worked on it a little bit. We knew that they were a transition team, some highly skilled defense that really want to be a part of the rush. And if we can, and no matter who the opponent is, if we can keep them to the outside and, allow Helly to handle those ones, not allowing the second and third opportunities in the middle. I thought we did a great job of collapsing back, and if it was that, clearing pucks out of there, or if it was the rush, if the rush chances happened, they came from the wide wings, and like I said, whether that was shot off the angle or whatever, we could handle what happened next.
What's your biggest takeaway from the homestand, taking 5 of the 8 points?
Yeah, I mean, you have to do that, right? You have to take advantage when you're home here. We knew what our trip was going to be all about, the 11-dayer, and, we come home here, you have to take advantage of your crowd. The crowd was a little bit lopsided, but at the end of the day, we took advantage here at home. I think that, it got loud when we got up, and that's what you want. It was pretty crazy in here when Boston was in here the other night as well. So, it's all part of, you have advantages at home. Whether that's changes, kind of matchups, those type of things. I just like the way we came out and got our points.
Let's quickly, what do you think of Colin Miller's game back in the lineup for you?
That was good. I think that they eat up minutes, and that's big. And there's times where they got out against some of those top six, and you know what? He's a veteran guy. He's been in these situations before, and he's handled it professionally. Thank you. Thanks.
There he goes. Jets head coach Scott Arniel, as he talking about his team's victory over the Montreal Canadiens to close out the homestand. Anything you want to address on his from his remarks?
Anything I want to address? Well, I thought it was pretty funny that he said the crowd was a little bit lopsided. It was a sellout, and he's saying that the crowd was a little bit lopsided. I mean, no, there's not really that much, to address. Obviously, Scott Arniel was a lot happier with tonight's effort than he was last game. It was a very disappointing effort, I think, even though the Jets got the point. We talked about that a lot on this morning show, but it was kind of one of those points where you know that you were kind of lucky to get it to overtime. And one thing too that I think you were probably thinking about, Dave, too, is the Jets got the benefit of the late penalty, right? It wasn't yep. as late, but that Brendan Gallagher slash on Josh Morrissey, again, I'm going to be consistent here. That was a penalty. Like that was a penalty to me. And you could even see Dave, Josh Morrissey kind of, shake it off a little bit.
Yeah.
So it was like, that's a slash, like Gallagher slashed Morrissey. So the Jets benefited. So it's kind of like one of those hockey gods things, right? Where the hockey gods kind of made everything right. The Jets benefited from a late penalty as opposed to taking a late penalty last game versus Vegas, right?
Yep.
So, obviously, that's what stood out to me about that interview was just relief, right? Because we talked about it. Look, got to give the Habs credit here. They came in, they were embarrassed last game, and they came in with a much better effort, and they took the Jets. It took an empty netter by Vlad Nemesnikov with 20 seconds left to seal the deal, right? Like they were there. We talked about it. I think it was Hudson or Matheson got the shot through. And I keep forgetting who it was deflected by. I thought it was the third line. So it might've been Dvorak or Anderson, or pardon me. I think it was the second line actually. So I think it was Kirby Doc, Dave, if you remember that, hit the post in the third period. So again, give the Jets credit here for hanging on and, grinding out a win here. And at this point, I think they're going to take it. So it might not be, an A++ effort, but, we'll give the Jets a solid B on tonight.
Hey, solid Bs are all you can ask for. That's
Bs get degrees, right, Dave?
Bs do indeed get degrees. Well, Ezzy, let's get things underway with the Play Now game recap.
The Play Now game recap.
As don't bet on illegal sites. Bet with Play Now instead. Manitoba's local, legal, and secure gambling site. 18 plus. Enjoy responsibly. Well, some of the comments in the chat as have mentioned, and it does bear repeating, the Jets did not start off particularly strong. And one of the things, look, and the one thing I know folks are upset because Montreal is not a good team when it comes to where they sit in the standings, but they were embarrassed by the Pittsburgh Penguins on home ice. I don't know. I think the final score was 9-2.
Yep.
So you knew that they were going to come up with a better effort. You knew that Saturday night, hockey night in Canada, they're not going to want to be embarrassed again. So you knew that you expected Montreal. I expected Montreal to come out with a little bit of jump. I believe they're starting a road trip now. And there's some emotion with the Patrick Laine stuff. And like I said, the crowd, I didn't know if it was going to be like the Teemu Selanne game, Ezzy, where he came back to Winnipeg. I know Laine's been back since he was traded from Winnipeg to Columbus. And obviously he's had some success with Columbus, and his comments before the game, the media, our friends spoke to him before the game began, and he did have a funny line about the Connor Hellebuck having the Patty flu, he called it. And then it was very funny. I don't know if you saw it on social media while we were listening to Scott Arniel, but Connor Hellebuck said on Line A's Patty flu, no flu tonight. He had lots of shots tonight. He's a good shooter, but none for him. So I was joking throughout the course of the game that perhaps Connor Hellebuck heard the comments by Patrick Laine, because he did seem particularly efficient at blocking the shots from 92. Well, let's be realistic, Ezzy. He's efficient from blocking shots from everybody in that he faces. But I thought particularly against Patrick Laine, Connor Hellebuck looked especially strong.
Yeah, and he made that glove save in the first period,
Right.
and he made the incredible save where he went back and caught it.
Yeah,
that was the second period, and then we talked about the toe save in the third period, right? Like Laine had I don't know, a third or the quarter of all of the Habs shots tonight. Pretty incredible. So you just love to see that stuff, because I'm sure a lot of the guys were talking to Laine, because a lot of these guys were former teammates of his.
Yeah.
And so again, I mentioned this earlier, Dave, but sometimes we've been covering hockey for a long time. Sometimes it's just a nice feel-good human story just to have him back in the game, because everybody knows what he went through with the player assistance program and also the injury, right? So he's back from his injury, and he's looking like the old Patrick Laine, right? So you love to see that, because it's not easy to have that type of injury when you had an injury last year as well. And, now he's going out there in the first power play unit, and they're looking for him, and it looks like the Laine of, 3 or 4 years ago, right? So just wanted to get that in there, that it's just a feel-good story to have Laine back involved in the NHL, because I don't care what anybody says, he's a fantastic player and great human being. On this particular goal, right, the first Habs goal, for me, it's just you kind of give Lane Hudson a little bit too much time and space. And obviously, Mike Matheson, it's off of a face-off, obviously. And, Mike Matheson can see that Lane Hudson's opening up a little bit. I just thought, again, easy for me to say this, but I just thought, Mason Appleton, he's kind of a little bit in no man's land. Yeah. And, he decides to challenge Matheson. And it's a nice shot. Like, let's be honest here, for his first ever NHL goal, it's a nice shot on Hellebuck. Obviously, Hellebuck's, it's an interesting angle, right, Dave? Because, he beats him on the glove side. And that's got to be hard to stop if you're a goalie, right? So that's all I would say on that particular goal. I mean, obviously, I don't think we're going to, say the sky is falling and, this is the Jets' defensive structure crumbling or anything like that. I just think, a little bit too much time and space for Hudson to walk in there and snipe one past Hellebuck.
Well, and it was just interesting because the Jets started the Lowry line to begin the game, and Montreal hemmed them in to right off the hop, and they got a couple of shots. And I joked with Mike McIntyre. I said, well, is this going to be another one of those games? Because I think it was about 4:30 and the Jets were being outshot 2-0 or 3-0. It wasn't obviously very significant, but it looked like Montreal was going to create some momentum. And then, like you said, Ezzy, a little surprising that it's the Lowry line, but yeah, I mean, Mason Appleton, you kind of don't want to leave. You don't really need to be there, right? Like, because Nino Niederreiter is going to be able to attack the high point. So you can't really leave Hudson open. So I would agree, like Appleton probably, misread that, I think, because you're right. He, instead of being able to cover someone, he's caught in that no man's land.
Well, and just before, we move on here, Dave, from this goal, because obviously, we don't want to take anything away from Lane Hudson's first ever NHL goal, but, Niederreiter's a left winger. Appleton's a right winger, right? So when you're talking about Matheson as a right shot, Hudson's a left shot defenseman, just looking at the replay, Niederreiter gets kind of caught up with Slafkovsky, and you can kind of see he's trying to get out there to get to Matheson. So that's why I'm saying, obviously, Mason Appleton's a penalty killer. He knows who he should take. It's not like he needs me on the Illegal Curve Hockey Show to tell him who to take. But to me, that's what happened there, is that Niederreiter gets a little bit caught up. And so Appleton thinks that now he's the guy that
who has to go high.
And so what that does is that leaves Hudson open. That's all I'm saying. But again, I mean, these plays happen so quickly. This was right off of a face-off. And, I just got to say again, Dave, I've been so impressed with Lane Hudson. I'm not a Habs fan. I'm not a particular, person that cheers for the Habs or anything like that. Obviously, they're a storied franchise. But I'm a big fan of Hudson's game. I was really impressed because there was a couple chances, a couple opportunities that the Jets had. I remember, like, Adam Lowry stole the puck from Hudson, And Hudson's not a big guy, right? Like he's like 5'9", 5'10", and he got in front of Lowry. I was just impressed with him. I mean, he's got a really bright future. That's all I wanted to say.
No, and I think you're right. I'm a little surprised that he wanted to ruin his reverse Cy Young chance, but now he's 1 goal, 19 assists for his. Well, I don't know if he picked up anything else in today's game. I'll have to keep looking to see what happens. I don't think he got anything on the second goal. He did not. So yeah, 1 goal, 19 assists for Lane Hudson. And you're right, Ezzy. The future is very bright for him. And then the Jets on the power play. We talk about, like I said, one of the elements that the Jets needed to be good in was the power play. And I know you love it when I say it, Ezzy, because I always focus on Kyle Connor's passing, because a lot of people focus on his shooting, and we'll get into his shooting a little bit later in this game recap. But for now, it's that pass. Kyle Connor, just so efficient with the puck. And you like the fact that the Jets are aggressive, right? Like Mark Scheifele trying to get a pass through. I thought Cole Perfetti was a little bit better today, actually, on the power play. But to me, this is all about Kyle Connor and that elite level of passing from him. There's a reason why he's got as many goals practically as assists, or vice versa. I always forget because they're so close together. And Gabe Vilardi, once again, create a little bit of time and space for himself. He's not missing that, and so he's feeling good. He's continuing to score for the Winnipeg Jets. That's his 13th goal of the year, and it gives the fans something to cheer about.
Yeah, Dave, let's be honest here. I mean, you talked about it. This is all about the elite passing ability of Kyle Connor. Where is Gabe Vilardi? Gabe Vilardi's in his office, right? Mm-hmm. It's office hours for Gabe Vilardi. He's in his office right there where he should be. And it's just an absolute pass on a rope to Gabe Vilardi. And like you said, I mean, again, the Jets go down a goal. So obviously the Habs get their fans into it. They're in Canada Life Center. And they take advantage of a power play and obviously, tie this game up. And, one thing I wanted to go back to just on the penalty,
sure.
It was Kirby Dach, or pardon me. Yeah, it was Kirby Dach, high stick Nino Niederreiter. If you notice, there was a high stick right before that. I forget if it was Perfetti or who it was. Anyways, I just thought it was interesting that they missed a call and then there was high stick right after. But yeah, I mean, just the Jets power play, especially at home, right? Because we've talked about that quite a bit. The power play is even better at home than it is on the road. And again, it's really hard to stop that. Like it's we've talked about when the Jets are moving the puck, when they're zipping that puck around, and you leave any type of time and space for Vilardi, and that there's other options. That Scheifele's a shooting option, that Connor's a shooting option. That's what I love the best, Dave, in addition to that pass, is that Connor easily represented shot. And everybody knows that. Everybody has the book on Connor. Everybody knows. The thing is, the book on Connor, you could have the book on Connor. It doesn't mean you're going to be able to do anything with that book. So I just like that Connor kind of represented that he could shoot there, and he just zipped it over to Vilardi because he was obviously wide open.
Well, and I was going to say, it depends on what book you're looking at, Ezzy, because he's got a shooting book and he's got a passing book. So you really don't know which one it's going to be. But it's just one of those things that it got the life back in the building, right? It got the fans excited, not the Montreal fans, and there were many of them. But Kyle Connor, he gets his 21st assist of the season, and Josh Morrissey gets his 26th assist of his season. But it's not done there, Ezzy, because Adam Lowry, the captain, and I'm pretty sure he had about 3 Montreal guys draped all over him when he scored this goal. But the credit really goes to Nino Niederreiter and I have to give credit to Colby Spence, our photographer, who was ice level for this one. And if you check our Illegal Curve Instagram, you'll see what I'm talking about, because he captures it perfectly. You can see that Nino Niederreiter, the way he's coming around the net and Montembeault thinks that he's going to keep it and try and find one of the D-men. And instead, he finds Adam Lowry right there. So he captures that. Niederreiter dumps the puck over there. Montembeault's looking straight because he's expecting Niederreiter come around with it. And then Lowry just deposits it in. Nothing particularly spectacular about it, other than you got to give Nino Niederreiter pulling that out of his bag of trickery and giving the Jets, setting up the Jets to have a 2-1 lead.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a few things on this goal I like. I like that the Nemesnikov, Perfetti, Chibrikov line was on prior to the Lowry line coming out, and they had some good zone time. Mm-hmm. And Chibrikov had a decent scoring chance. That's Niederreiter's coming on. I believe I'd have to go back and confirm, but I think it's for Perfetti, Dave, that Niederreiter's coming off the bench. So obviously he's coming on with speed, and obviously I love, his effort and a nice little decision by DeMello to find Niederreiter there coming off of the bench. But also what continues to amaze me is that if you were to have one of those diagrams of the goal with all of the pucks around the goal, indicating where all of Adam Lowry's goals come from, they would literally all be from within 3 feet of the net. So I'm just always amazed that all of his goals come within 5-6 feet of the net. But yeah, I mean, just a hardworking goal, right? Like you find Niederreiter coming off the bench, good little rush. Like I said, small area pass by DeMello to acknowledge that he's coming off the bench with speed. And then, it's Mike Matheson and Lane Hudson, the two top pairing defensemen for the Montreal Canadiens. They just can't handle Adam Lowry. And that's the thing with Adam Lowry. It's like sometimes, you're a big hockey player, go to the net and be big. You know what I mean? Right. Like whack a puck and again, like they don't score the Lowry, Niederreiter, Appleton line. They don't score beautiful goals like the Scheifele line does. Like sometimes they do. Sometimes they get nice goals. Like Lowry sometimes will, get loose on a shorthanded breakaway, or, Niederreiter is definitely a skilled player. But like specifically Lowry and Appleton, a lot of their goals are not beautiful. Right. So you just love to see that. And that line, we've talked about it. I mean, they're having a great year, but as of late, including that road trip, the offense dried up a little bit. So at that time was obviously a huge goal. We always talk about, going into the first intermission with a 2-1 lead. So yeah, there was a lot to like about that goal. That's definitely vintage Lowry line right there.
Well, and the only other thing I would add is the fact that he's now got 8 goals, right? And for Adam Lowry, whose career high is 15 back in 2016-17, I believe. I should know because I tweeted it earlier, but I'm just trying to recollect what I wrote, but I'm pretty sure that's what it was. He's on pace for 20. And one of the biggest things we talked about, and I know that they're not a traditional third line in the sense that they play more minutes than a third line, I think, does. But the fact of the matter is that we talked about it throughout the course of the summer as that if you're going to be if their usage is going to be the way it's going to be, they need to produce. Niederreiter, Lowry, and Appleton. And they all seem to be doing that. And like you said, good feelings going into the second period, up 2-1 after 20 minutes. There's joy in Joyland, and it continues. And sorry, the Jets were outshot, though, as I should mention, 11-9 in that first period by the Habs. But into the second now they go, and the Jets, although this was, I don't know how if they described it on the broadcast, because I did not, we sat in the press box, we're watching it. The Jets go to the power play. The penalty as he was drawn on, I'm drawing a blank now, and I should know since I'm hosting, who had the first one. Oh, Cole Caulfield had the hooking penalty. Yeah. Right.
And then it was high sticking Christian Dvorak on Scheifele. Scheifele drew both penalties, which is pretty funny.
Right, which is what you mentioned. But what I was going to say is, so Caulfield is in the box. He didn't particularly like the call. He was rather perturbed as he went into the sin bin, as most guys are. But he goes into the box, and then Christian Dvorak gets the high sticking penalty on Scheifele. But the odd part was, and I maybe someone in the chat can figure it out, Hellebuck came out to the blue line for the extra attacker. So you're thinking, okay, the Jets are going to go 6-on-4 here because they had possession of the puck. But then for some reason, Hellebuck stood at the blue line, and I wasn't sure if he wasn't certain it was a penalty.
That's what I think. That's what I think it was, because it was mentioned on the broadcast. Obviously, Dave, they weren't showing what Hellebuck was doing.
Yeah.
Right. Because the play was in
the
Montreal zone.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what it. John Bartlett, the play-by-play announcer on Sportsnet, he mentioned that Hellebuck went back to the net. So I think the viewer was thinking, okay, is there a penalty? Is there not a penalty? Because it was the referee that wasn't in view that called it. I think that's what happened, but I'm not really sure if someone was yelling on the bench, there's no penalty or whatever it was, but nonetheless, the Jets got the 5-on-3.
No, they did. But like I said, I just was watching. And I'm like, and I'm sitting there. I'm talking to Mike. I'm talking to some of the other folks upstairs. And I was just like, what is going on? Why is he going back in the net? Doesn't he see that the ref has got his arm up? But regardless, the Jets, that would have been, if they didn't have a penalty, that would have been a rather unusual goal against a rather unusual, I say, shorthanded goal if Montreal scored. But Christian Dvorak gets the second penalty. So an extended, I think it was like about 1:35, 5-on-3 for the Winnipeg Jets. And as you said, this is an opportunity to build some momentum. Kyle Connor fires it just wide on a real nice setup just before he gets it back. But you got to give, again, I kind of gushed a little bit earlier as about his passing, but this shot is going to get something. It's going to get
the Seagram shot of the game.
And go ahead.
Oh.
Go ahead.
No, what's it going to get?
Do the read.
Well, no, I'm looking for it anyway. So you give me your little spiel.
Well, I was going to say, I was ready. It's been a while since I've done this, Dave, but here we go. This is for Kyle Connor, a little shot of Fireball, L'chaim.
All right. Well, I was going to say, while you're doing that, ignite the night with Fireball. Of course, drink responsibly, as our friends at Seagrams would want you to know.
Ooh.
But this was worthy, I would believe, of the shot of the game. The one just prior, like I said, 5-on-3, Jets are moving the puck well. Folks are getting a little bit concerned, though, because, time is winding down. There's only 15 seconds left in the two-man advantage, or actually just a little bit less, I should say. I think it was 10 seconds when he scored finally. But the fact of the matter is the Jets are moving the puck around. They recovered well, and I thought that was something that they did well throughout the course of this game when they needed to. But they recovered the puck well. Sorry, they scored with 2 seconds to go on this 5-on-3 advantage. Kyle Connor into the back of that, his 17th goal of the season, and the Jets have themselves a 3-1 lead.
Yeah, and Dave, I wanted to go back to something that you said earlier.
Okay.
That Connor's chance early, right before the goal was an incredible save by Sam Montembeault. He comes right to left and makes an incredible save on Connor, and you just love that Connor. He goes, okay, I'm gonna go back to my position by the face-off circle, and I'm just gonna wait for the puck to come back to me. And he obviously rips it because it's the exact same thing. Because Sam Montembeault is going right to left, and we've seen this shot so many times from Kyle Connor. But yeah, the Jets power play again. We can't really overstate how much better the power play is this year than last year with essentially the same players, right, Dave?
Mm-hmm.
So to me, it's just like it just looks like on a nightly basis, this Jets power play just looks confident. They know what they have to do, and they're executing. That's the big thing. So obviously, Connor doesn't score the first time, so I love how he just says, "Okay, big save. I'm going to go right back to my position, wait for Scheif to get me the puck, and then, wait for Morrissey to get me the puck, and then bingo, bango, bongo, they've got a 3-1 lead, and the power play obviously was the big difference early on in the game."
Bingo, bango, bongo. That is, well, look at that. That's efficient as well. And with the 2 assists, Josh Morrissey ties Nikolai Ehlers for 3rd spot on the Jets all-time active list. Well, not active list period for assists with 272. And Kyle Connor moved ahead of Brian Little into 4th. That's the Jets Thrashers combined one. I know folks sometimes get upset about that one, but the NHL counts it. So, and anytime you get a chance to mention Brian Little, we do that, of course.
Oh, I love it. I'm always here for a Brian Little reference. And just quickly, Dave, before we get back to the second period, like I know some people aren't as into the Four Nations tournament. I think in the last few weeks since they named the team, I'm getting really into it. I just can't wait to see. Just me personally. Yeah. I think you're with me too, Dave, and I think a lot of people in the chat are as well. I just can't wait to watch Josh Morrissey play for Team Canada. Obviously, there's a lot of guys on all 4 teams that you're excited to watch, but I just think this is a guy that has just gotten better and better at every year, and we always talk about this. He's so underrated. 2 years ago was obviously his best offensive year. I think he's going to pass it this year. I really do.
Well, there's a very good chance he's on pace for, like you said, as he is. I don't know what his on-pace numbers are right now. Didn't calculate them yet, but it's right around his career high. So, I mean, he is having a phenomenal year. There's no question about it. Neil Pionk was on NHL Network, and if you didn't get a chance to listen to that, we have it on illegalcurve.com, and he spoke about Josh Morrissey. He said he's the best skater on the team. He referenced that OT. He originally said the game winner, but of course, it was the game-winning assist that he set up Adam Lowry for. But he just talked about how good Josh Morrissey is and just what a treat it is to be kind of, I think he said, front row seat to the show. And it's a treat having a front row seat to this show, I would say, Ezzy, because for me to watch you, I should say, on it. This is, of course, the Illegal Curve post-game show. I'm Dave Manouk. He's Ezzy Ginsberg. We're breaking things down here on the Play Now game recap, which we do each and every time the Jets play a hockey game. Hopefully you join us each and every single time the Jets play a hockey game. Make sure you've subscribed. Make sure you smash that like button. We've still got a period to go. We've still got to keep things going, Ezzy. The Jets were up 3-1 Were they going to be able to close it out, or was big bad Montreal going to find a way to get back into this one? And I will say, and I know that he's a little bit of a maligned player, and I'm not going to pretend like I watch him because I don't watch Montreal Canadian games by any stretch of the imagination. But one guy who always seems to have good games about the Jets is Josh Anderson. I don't know why, and I know that for years there was some talk about Josh Anderson to the Jets. Now, not anymore, but I know that a couple of years ago there was a lot of talk about what it would take to pry him out of. In fact, it was so long ago, I'm pretty sure that this was still when Laine was on the team. But ultimately, he just seems to always have good games against Winnipeg, and he brings it to a 1-goal game with not the crispiest play, I would say, by the Jets defense. And suddenly it's the 3-2 game. Second goal against, by the way, the Niederreiter, Lowry, and Appleton line of this hockey game.
Yeah, Josh Anderson's a good hockey player. I think, the contract that he signed, I don't think Habs fans are very fond of that. I think he's one of those guys, Dave, that closer to the trade deadline, I think Anderson would look good in a Jets jersey, to be honest with you. I'm not sure where he exactly would fit in, but I know that his salary, I want to say he's around $5 million a year. I'd have to check Puckpedia. But I think that's one thing that kind of goes against him is that, you look at him and he'd be a guy that, if he's making $3 million a year, you'd probably be, because he's a third line guy, right? But Anderson was getting under the skin of some Jets players tonight. I remember he was getting under the skin of Neil Pionk earlier in the game. So,
which is usually Neil Pionk's move.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, on this goal, I mean, this is just, it's not a great goal, but for me, it's just, you kind of lose a little bit of coverage in your own zone. And, Christian Dvorak, give him credit. He makes a nice play here, but again, it's that attention to detail. And, I thought for the most part, the Jets had the attention to detail tonight, but, this is also, a situation where Pionk and just going back a little bit, Dave, Pionk and Hayden Fleury are out there and, Pionk shoots the puck around the boards and Fleury can't get to it. So it all kind of starts with that, right? It's not a great pass to Fleury. So then Fleury can't get it out. The Jets are kind of a little bit stuck. And then Josh Anderson just kind of comes in from the blue line unattested and banks in the rebound. So, good on the Habs. They put some pressure on that. I think it was, if I'm not mistaken, it was Mike Matheson that put pressure on Nino Niederreiter. So good on them for putting some pressure on the Jets, but just, it was a little bit sloppy getting out of their own zone, failure to get out of their own zone by the Jets. And then obviously Dvorak just kind of outmuscles Pionk to the net. And then, as I mentioned, Anderson comes in for the rebound. So again, those are the types of goals that I think coaches hate because they would say, just get the puck high off the glass, just get it out, and it results in a goal. And that's the two third lines against each other, right? So you don't really love to see goals like that. You want to see goals where the team is outworking you, or I guess they did outwork, but you know what I mean, Dave. That's just the type of goal that late in the third period that you don't like to give up, because obviously then the Habs are really in this game, and then pressing for the tie-in goal. But good on the Habs. I was impressed. Again, this Habs team's not making the playoffs. They're not going anywhere. They're not good.
They might not be making the playoffs for 2 more years.
No, yeah, exactly. But that effort was really impressive. Not just on that goal. I'm talking about just overall. I think, the Habs made it tough for the Jets tonight.
Well, Kenny's water bottle, who's the most difficult water bottle to impress in the land, said he was not overly impressed with the Jets game tonight. Way too sloppy. Poppy got a little sloppy. Jets won thanks to their PP, a lackluster Habs PP, and Connor Hellebuck could have lost this game with their mistakes. True. But you don't apologize for having Connor Hellebuck, as he is the reason why the Jets are able to win some games, and he was fantastic. He did make, like you said, that I called it the softball save, because he makes the blocker save on Laine and then has to kind of
play for the House of Ashkenazi with that type of that type of glove work.
Exactly, but to the point that you just made, it's 12 minutes to go in the third period, so it's not as if suddenly the game is out of reach for Montreal. It's a 1-goal game, and there's a lot of time left in the third from a team that is, like I said, you just got pounded by the Pittsburgh Penguins. So you want to have a little bit of a rebound, if you will. And the truth is, right, it's also about the fact that, but the Jets managed to stay disciplined. That's I think something I would focus on. Kyle Connor, we should mention it. He takes the slashing penalty that's not so disciplined against Yoel Armia, no longer called Joel Armia. And then Cole Caulfield, he takes the hooking penalty against Alex Iafallo on the PK. So that nullified that, made it 4-on-4. And then with Montreal pushing and the Jets, one thing I want to mention, because even though it didn't result in a goal, it did result in this power play for the Jets. The first line was excellent with alongside Josh Morrissey in cycling the puck. They didn't score a goal late in the third, but you're doing exactly what you want, which is controlling the play in the other team's end. And they controlled it. They cycled it. They had a lot of good chances. Like I said, they didn't.
That was
score.
the one where Chibrikov, I think, had a rebound chance, if I'm not mistaken, right?
No, I think I'm talking about the one with Scheifele and
oh, sorry, I thought you were talking about the Nemesnikov.
The Nemesnikov. No, that was another good chance that Chibrikov almost had his fourth goal as a Jet. That would have been something.
I thought that was going in. I'll be honest with you. I was like, that's going to be it. Chibrikov's going to score the fourth goal, and he's going to keep his 50 goal pace going.
Well, yeah.
One thing, Dave, I just want to get mention this. I noticed about this game.
Yeah.
Or this line, particularly the Nemesnikov line with Chibrikov,
sure.
Because obviously it's a different looking line, right? Than with Ehlers, because
no question.
Let's be honest, Ehlers, we know what he does with his speed. He's a guy that has the puck. He's a puck possession guy. So it's a little bit different. Now it's kind of running through Nemesnikov. Let's be honest. But one thing I notice is when these guys play connected and they're in tight spaces and they're close to each other, that's when what I've kind of noticed. They're at their best. Like this is not a dump and chase line. Like this is not like, to me, Nemesnikov, Perfetti, and Chibrikov couldn't be any different than the Lowry line. It's kind of like the antithesis of that line. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, just to let you hold your thought. I mean, what did Scott O'Neill say? They were looking up. They were like, they're not they look at their opponents more often than not, because they're so much smaller than who they were facing.
Exactly. And I just wanted to make that point that I noticed on a couple of sequences, like when these guys are in tight and they're close to each other and they make their little passes and they can make their little drop passes, and there's a lot of skill there. So I was impressed with that line, because let's be honest. I mean, this is a line that even with Ehlers in the lineup, there's been criticisms of, not enough offense from Nemesnikov and Perfetti. So I think it's going to come. I think there was a lot of good signs tonight from that line.
For sure. But like I said, let's laud what the first line was able to do late in the game, control the puck, cycle it like crazy, create scoring opportunities for themselves. Josh Morrissey, I would say, was part of that cycle advantage. And then they forced Brendan Gallagher to take a slashing penalty against Josh Morrissey with, I think there was 3:35 left in the game. So the Jets don't get anything done on their power play, but they've just killed 2 minutes off the clock. And the Habs push, can't get anything. We don't really break down empty net goals, but Vlad Nemesnikov, he finds the back of the net. Little spin around though. Nice little spin around.
I was going to say, Dave, I it never ceases to amaze me, the skill at the NHL level, but it's also, he spins around. It's like these guys know exactly where the net is. Like they make it look easy, right? Like just because there's an empty net, these guys are going to score, right? But I just thought that was impressive. The Nemesnikov spun around and he made it looked easy putting that empty netter in.
Well, and one of the things you'll notice about Vlad Nemesnikov, he and Nito Niederreiter seem to be, neck and neck. But again, contributions. Everybody getting in a little piece of that game. And Vlad Nemesnikov, that's his 8th goal of the season. Assist to Alex Iafallo, who took a pretty hard shot in the first period, had to have some ice on the bench. So I don't know if they mentioned that on the broadcast, but he stayed in and played the rest of the game. And obviously
they did show it. I don't know if they mentioned, I forget if they mentioned if he was getting ice. I mean, I'm glad that he got ice, because it did not look very pleasant. It looked very painful. So nice that Iafallo picks up an empty net assist there. He's obviously a guy that's like unsung a little bit. That fourth line, I think earlier in the season, they were contributing a little bit more. But always nice to see, a fourth line guy pick up an assist. Look, Iafallo plays he plays a specialized game, right? Goes out there on the PK, plays 10 to 14 minutes on the fourth line. So nice for him to get rewarded with an apple.
There you go. Well, that has been the Play Now game recap. Jets win 4-2. We've still, of course, got lots of show to go, but learn to bet with Play Now, the official betting partner of the Winnipeg Jets. Sign up and get up to $250 in bonus bets. Conditions apply. 18 plus. Enjoy responsibly. Thanks to our friends at Play Now for sponsoring this show. And of course, the little site called theillegalcurve.com, not thelegalcurve.com, as we're not like the Ohio State, but illegalcurve.com, which is, of course, has all the latest Jets, Moose, and Jets prospect news.
And thanks to our friends at Seagram's, it's Saturday night. My kids aren't home. I can take another shot of Fireball, right, Dave?
Absolutely. Nobody's stopping you. Nobody is going to stop you. We are going to head to commercial break, though, so we can thank the rest of our sponsors. Thank you and everyone here in the chat. Don't go anywhere, though. We'll have more on the other side of the break.
Delicious.
This, of course, is the Illegal Curve post-game show. Make sure you're subscribing. Make sure you're liking. We need you to do all of those things. We'll be back right after these words from our commercial sponsors.
We want to thank you for not betting with Play Now and choosing our illegal gambling site instead.
Because we couldn't afford things like this without your money.
So much of your money.
Now you might have questions like,
Do our profits benefit your community?
No.
Or bet with Play Now, Manitoba's local legal and secure gambling site.
Dining, entertainment, parking, and convenience, all in one spot. City Place is located in the heart of downtown Winnipeg, attached to the Canada Life Centre. Whether you're working, living, or out for a night in the downtown, make City Place your go-to destination before or after the fun finds you. Lunchtime, game time, anytime, visit City Place at 333 St. Mary Avenue, next to Canada Life Centre. Holt Dental, the new official dentist of Illegal Curve, has a philosophy rooted in two unyielding principles: genuinely caring about patients and providing outstanding service. Being a patient of Holt Dental means more than just checkups and treatments. It's taking the time to listen and talk to each patient so they can achieve the best long-term health, functionality, and aesthetics for their teeth, mouth, and gums. Conveniently located at Grant Park Festival on Taylor Avenue, Holt Dental is dentistry of the highest quality in a comfortable and relaxed environment. For more information, visit holtdental.ca. Oh, and there's plenty of free parking at the front door, too. Celebrating its 40th year as Winnipeg's home for stand-up comedy, Rumors Restaurant and Comedy Club has recently been named Canada's top comedy club and a top 5 comedy club in North America. From birthday parties to date nights to fundraisers and everything in between, Rumors is your destination for the best and most affordable live entertainment Winnipeg has to offer. For more information on upcoming shows, Rumors' incredible promotions, and to purchase tickets, visit rumorscomedyclub.com.
So you're a pizza person, you married a wing person, but somehow your kids are salad people. You can't pick your fam, but you can pick your BP meal deal, starting from $18.99 for takeout or delivery at bostonpizza.com.
Welcome back to the Illegal Curve post-game show, little Saturday night edition here with Dave Minuk. That's myself. That's Ezzy Ginsburg, my main man. We appreciate all of you joining
I didn't do any more shots of Fireball. I'm gonna leave it at 2. That was good.
All right, 2 is good. 2 is good. That's the good. That's the happy place for Ezzy Ginsburg.
Well, I see a couple people in the chat talking about my little bottle here. And obviously, you know, I'm not like, I'm 42 years old. I'm not as young as I used to be. I don't drink like I used to, right?
Yeah. So look, it's the Jets win. The Jets close out the homestand. They've got 2 more games. They'll be heading off to California. They're not going to practice tomorrow. It was on the schedule, but they don't plan on it.
California.
Exactly. What's that, from The Wizard?
Yes.
Thank you. Fred Savage.
One of my favorite movies of all time, The Wizard.
Yeah. That was a good one. It was a classic.
My favorite is when they're in the competition at the end of the movie and they get the special warp, because anybody who remembers playing Super Mario Brothers 3 knows that the warping was huge. And just an awesome film about that's centered around Super Mario Brothers 3 and the Nintendo game console.
Do you remember what? First of all, okay, so what was the name of the guy he went up against?
The character?
Yeah, like what was the guy who had the glove?
Oh man, did you guys have the glove growing up, Dave?
No, please. We were from the north end. We didn't have that kind of. We didn't have that kind of scrizzle.
I had the zapper. I never had the glove, but I remember a kid, Hartley Davis, had the glove, and it was such a cool thing. And there was also, there was the robot. Do you remember the Nintendo robot?
Oh yeah.
Anyways, I don't remember the character's
name. Lucas? I want to say it was Lucas.
Honestly, that sounds right.
I don't know. That seems
right.
That's okay. Well,
a young Beau Bridges was the father in that movie.
That's right. Good call.
Yep.
Good call. Anyways, well, now we've done enough movie trivia here on the Illegal Curve post game show. We appreciate everyone for sticking with us through Ezzy and I rambling about movies. But if anyone in the chat remembers, if it was Lucas, we'll see. Rob's asking me about the koi. Now they hibernate, Rob. The koi do not eat during the winter. But thank you for good question by Rob. I appreciate that question. So it's, even though it's off topic, we don't mind a little off topic. We're already done our post game analysis.
Dave's never coy about his koi.
I'm never coy about the koi. That's a good point. Now 7JP is 7B is asking the glove. Was that even useful? I don't know. I'm not sure.
Well, you use the glove for certain games. Like, I'm not sure. Like I thought the glove. Yeah, it was only for certain video games, I believe. But it was just a rare.
But I thought it had a controller on it, though, didn't it? Didn't like I never had one, but I thought it was like the whole thing was you could just kind of play with it on your.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Back in the day, that was the SHIT. Like, that was a big deal if you had the glove. Now, obviously, video games are much more realistic and the graphics are way better. But back in the day,
when I'm playing Fortnite now, and I'm just sitting there going, like, how do I play Fortnite? Considering that I'm supposed to be a guy who played but somehow I managed to evolve, Ezzy.
Well,
I figured out how to do it.
Well, Liene's in town, even though you could play with him online. But Liene was a big Fortnite guy back in the day.
That's true. That is true. For some reason, that story was like, it's funny. People are telling that story about as if it was new. I'm like, well, and I guess because we're in Winnipeg, we knew the story about him being big into it.
The TVs.
Yeah. Like it was, everybody's like acting like it was a brand new story. I'm like, I don't understand. It's not a new story. It's literally from years ago. But regardless, we digress. Let's see if there were any other interesting things to note from tonight's game. I didn't really see any other than I just thought I did have to say that I thought it was particularly interesting or funny that Connor Hellebuck, who was named the star of the game, and he and Cole Perfetti, Ezzy, were the ones who received the jackets after the game. So Cole Perfetti got the Army jacket and Connor Hellebuck got the leather jacket. So that's that from those guys.
I thought Perfetti had a good game. Like, again, he doesn't score a goal. But obviously, like we talked about it on the Adam Lowry goal, the second goal that put the Jets up 2-1. Perfetti did some good job around the boards, battling, and that's one thing that we've said. Like, Perfetti's a guy that obviously can play on your first power play unit, your second power play unit. He's a guy that can create off of the rush. He's got great vision, but sometimes those are the things when he's battling. And because let's be honest, a lot of hockey is that, right? And think good things result when you're keeping the puck in the other team's zone, you're battling along the board, cycling, and he went off the ice. Niederreiter came on, and then Lowry eventually scored. So I think I'm not surprised that Perfetti got one of the jackets tonight.
Well, and we got some good post-game comments here from our good friend Murat Atesh of The Athletic. He, with respect to the Connor Hellebuck pop-up save and then on Laine and then by the real nice pass by Lane Hudson, because I lost it for a second. By the time I picked it up, it was on its way to the net. So the only thing I could do was just flail and try and make something cool. And thank God I did. That's an interesting way of hearing him say that one though, Ezzy.
Yeah. It was like that. Just like, sometimes Hellebuck isn't considered one of the most athletic goalies, right? Like you hear, obviously he's got a different style, and it's mainly his positioning and the way he tracks the puck, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, looked like a pretty good athlete there on that play.
Okay, and hold on, here's the full quote. It's one of those things where I'll say if I screw up, I can make a good save. When they passed it down, I'd lost it for a second, and it's interesting to hear him give the analysis. I kind of locked up my knees for just a half a second. By the time I picked it up, it was on its way to the net. So the only thing I could do was just flail and try and make something cool. Thank God I did. So there you go. That's there's Connor Hellebuck's thoughts on tonight's victory or his save in, I think he had 7 saves, Ezzy, on Patrick Laine. So again, no Patty flu for Connor Hellebuck and the Winnipeg Jets. They leave Winnipeg with a 4-2 win. Like I said earlier in the broadcast, they'll head to San Jose next with the Mums. They'll practice on Monday. And so I had some folks asking, I don't remember who specifically asked me about Nikolai Ehlers, but I suspect he's probably going to be out if everything is continuing. And Scott O'Neill, realistically, the Jets didn't, as Drew mentioned on this morning's broadcast, they didn't skate today. He probably skated on his own because believe the media's text us said that the scratches were going to be skating. So I assume Ehlers did skate today, Ezzy, and presuming he's feeling good and he comes in on the fly to California tomorrow. They also didn't recall anybody, so it's interesting. I wonder what that means for David Gustafsson, because there weren't any recalls made. So they're going to be heading out on the road, presumably either getting Ehlers back and Gustafsson. We'll have to find out. We won't find that out till Monday. Find out wherever of the Free Press guys are on the road to give us that information.
Right. It's going to be really interesting to see when Ehlers is ready to come back. Does Chibrikov, is he the first guy sent down or the first choice to be sent down? I mean, same thing, but, or is it going to be, are you going to have a situation where you possibly see David Gustafsson on waivers?
Yeah. I mean,
I don't think they want to lose him because I think he probably get claimed.
Yeah, probably. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, we'll see. The book, look, let's be realistic. The Jets have been loath to put a lot of guys on waivers, as we've been speaking about. But yeah, like I said, it'll be interesting to see what happens there. It's been a good two broadcasts, though. I will say that, as we've had a couple of good broadcasts already. Of course, if you didn't get a chance to join us, the Illegal Curve Hockey Show, which was 2 hours of Jets talk. Hold on, Dallas Paul's. See, the chat is throwing me off. When is the next IC Jets away game at BP? Well, for sake of clarity, it was going to be this week, but because it's such a late game, we're going to still do our Illegal Curve post-game show, but we weren't going to subject everyone to being out late on a school night. So we're going to bump that one in December. We're going to have that one, a little bit later on in the year. So you'll be able to get your fill, I should say, of IC at BP.
We're doing two post-game shows in March at BP. That's what we're doing. We're basically, in lieu of doing the post-game show, like Dave said, next week, we're going to be doing a couple in March. So March, just put the calendar, put those games in your calendar. I forget which ones they are right now, but we'll obviously keep everybody abreast of when we're going to be at Boston Pizza Taylor.
And we may have some fun things to give away. I'm not going to reveal anything, but we may have some very good reasons why you want to join us at Boston Pizza. I mean, you should want to join us regardless. I shouldn't have to incentivize your desire to be with Ezzy, myself, and Drew, but I understand because Drew's part of that equation, Ezzy, that folks need some incentive to want to be there. Well, we'll have some incentive most likely for the next Boston Pizza show.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. Yeah, we're not gonna say what it is, but I'm excited. Excited. We got some fun things brewing, some fun giveaways brewing.
We do indeed. Now, I can't pretend, Ezzy, that I know anything about what's going on in the Moose game, other than it is the end of the second period, apparently. No, it can't. That can't be right. It's the end of the first period.
Hold on.
Put on your antlers. It's time for the Minuk Moose Minute on the Illegal Curve Hockey Show.
This is a little bit nicer because I have to say
a little bit quicker usually. Sorry.
No, that's okay. But it's a little bit nicer because normally like Drew's poo-pooing it and rushing me. And, I feel like I have to get the prospect talking quick and the Moose talk, talking quick. We got nothing, We got no Drew, no nothing. But anyways, the Jets, the Moose are right now down 1-0 to Abbotsford after 20 minutes of play, I should say. And I haven't had a chance to check what any of the prospects are doing. Ezzy, it's a good thing I don't have a prospects bumper at it. Then you'd really be going to town. But
it's in production right now.
It's in pre-production right now. So it's conceptualized, if I recall correctly. But I don't think that there's any. I know that Jacob Julian was in action today, and of course Braden Yager is with Team Canada, so he was not in action. Nothing for Jacob Julian. Nothing. I haven't checked the WHL, and I don't know what's happening in college but we'll see if Marcus Lopinen had something or Connor Levis, but we'll keep you up to date. Make sure illegalcurve.com. That is your site for all the latest Jets, Moose, and Jets prospect news. We try and keep you up to date on everything here, not just Jets, not just the Moose, not just the prospects. We keep you up to date on all of it. So as before I thank our sponsors, anything you want to say to the folks on this Saturday night?
Well, there's a lot I want to say. I mean, I love you guys. I appreciate you guys tuning in with us here on Saturday night. It's been great to see the Jets back in Winnipeg. Like that was just, I don't know, for me, I can't speak for you. I can't speak for Jets fans. Like that was just too long of a road trip. The Jets were away for too long. So just nice to see the Jets back in town. Obviously, they would have liked a few more points on this homestand, but I think overall, I mean, there's the 8-1 beatdown of the Boston Bruins. You pick up a clean win over the Montreal Canadiens. You end up getting a point from against a really good, arguably the Stanley Cup favorite right now, at least for me in my mind. They're a Stanley Cup favorite. I mean, I'd throw the Florida Panthers in there as well. I'd throw the Winnipeg Jets in there as well. But 5 of 8 points is pretty good. It's not great. But, just great to, and again, one final thought. Again, I said it earlier in the show, just great to see Patty Laine back healthy and, Jets fans being very classy, cheering him on. And you love to see Hellebuyck not letting him score a goal on 7 shots. You love to see that.
Well, there we go. That's the way to end it. And so I will just add, because like I said, I'm going to add a happy birthday to that gentleman celebrating his 100th birthday. Hopefully his niece.
Happy birthday, Drew. We love you.
His niece, I believe, responded on one of our social medias, which reminds me, make sure you're following us. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Blue Sky, Threads, illegalcurve.com. Make sure you go to all of these things. But like I said, like the page, follow us on Facebook. We're building it up as the people. I don't know what I did to get everyone going, but whatchamacallit.
Make sure you like our last Vine. It's going viral.
As he's got us a Mastodon account. I don't know what that is, but as he's got us on there.
It's a band too. Mastodon's a metal band.
There you go. But Spency wants to have now it's time to end the show because Spency wants to have a drywall party in Ezzy's basement. So look, it's been a great show. We had a great one this morning. We appreciate everyone spending their time with us, and have a great rest of your Saturday night. A great Sunday. Again, remember, we are back on Tuesday night late because the Jets and San Jose Sharks don't get going till like 9:30, I think, Ez. So it's going to be a late one on the Illegal Curve broadcast.
Love those late games.
But don't worry, because illegalcurve.com will be your destination for all the latest Jets moves and prospect news until Monday when you hear, or Tuesday, sorry, when you hear from us again. But so a big thank you to all the people who joined us in the chat, and a big thank you to all the sponsors of Illegal Curve who make the post-game show, the Saturday show, and the aforementioned website, illegalcurve.com, a possibility. They are in no particular order: Rumors Restaurant and Comedy Club, Play Now, Holt Dental, Boston Pizza, City Place, Seagram's. Support these fine businesses because of their continued support of Illegal Curve Hockey. Well, I am officially done. I'm not going to do any more sidebars. I'm Dave Minuk. He's Ezzy Ginsburg, my main man. This has been the Illegal Curve post-game show. Have a great rest of your night, and make sure you smash that like button on the way out. Good night, everyone.
Thanks for listening to this broadcast from Illegal Curve Hockey. For more great Illegal Curve content, subscribe to the Illegal Curve YouTube channel, follow at Illegal Curve on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and visit your online home for hockey in Winnipeg, illegalcurve.com.